Hey guys, let's get more news about Steelers, but first, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a like. Steelers Stock Watch, DL Yahya Black. Reasoning: the selection of Yahya Black in the 5th round gave the Steelers 2 defensive linemen in the 2025 NFL Draft. While there is intrigue about what the new faces can bring, Black must earn a roster spot first. They have numbers in that room, and he will have to fight for reps in training camp. One imagines, though, that they wouldn't have drafted him without expecting him to have a good chance. Since promoting Omar Khan to general manager, the Steelers have yet to release a draft pick due to performance. In fact, they only just recently parted with their first draft pick since 2023, Ryan Watts, due to injury. That's good news for Yahya Black, aiming to be just the 3rd 5th round pick or later to make the roster. To make the roster outright, that is, rather than on the reserve/injured list. They kept 2 7th round picks last season on the reserve/injured list all season, one being Watts. But the Steelers are motivated to turn over the defensive line room, having already released 2 from last season. From the last 3 seasons, in fact, with Larry Ogunjobi and Montravius Adams. Then again, they did re-sign Isaiah Loudermilk. But he will be competing with Yahya Black and others for a spot on the roster later this offseason. Although the Steelers talked about Black playing 4 technique, my suspicion is that he will play more inside anyway. The release of Adams would seem to imply that, though it's by no means a guaranteed indication. He profiles there better than any other lineman they have drafted in years, though, including Keanu Benton. If he had Benton's talent, he would have gone much higher, of course. But he is in Pittsburgh for a reason, and that's primarily to stop the run. The Steelers know that they need to do more, and that includes incorporating bigger, space-eating bodies. Black can do that, or at least he did in college. Now he has to prove that he can do that at the NFL level. Relative to the rest of the Steelers roster, the bar is pretty low, but nevertheless. With the new league year underway and the Steelers turning their roster over, it's once again time to take stock. It took a while, but we finally saw some of that change the team talked about after the season ended. Certainly, the move to trade for WRDK Metcalf qualifies as a change, not to mention the accompanying contract. Terrell Suggs calls Ben Roethlisberger his most underrated quarterback. When talking about future Hall of Famers, it's hard to throw around the term underrated. However, there are levels and tiers even when talking about the best of the best. Longtime rival and Baltimore Ravens edge rusher Terrell Suggs thinks Ben Roethlisberger doesn't get the recognition he deserves. I would say, Ben Roethlisberger is underrated, Suggs said via the Rory and Mal podcast on YouTube. He got more rings than Aaron Rodgers. He got more rings than Drew Brees. He got like more rings than Dan Marino. He's got as many as Peyton and Eli Manning. So I would say Roethlisberger, he's probably the most underrated. Nobody sacked Roethlisberger more times than Suggs throughout his career, so he knows a thing or two about Roethlisberger's greatness as a quarterback. That was one of, if not the best, rivalries in all of sports during that era. There was plenty of hatred to go around, but there was also plenty of respect between the two sides. So what makes Roethlisberger underrated? A brief search had him ranked in the following places on a couple all-time QB lists. NFL.com, 19th, Fox Sports, honorable mention, outside top 10, there are never-ending debates to be had about which stats matter the most. Super Bowl wins carry a lot of weight, but how much of that has to do with the team versus the player? Roethlisberger is in a multi-way tie for the 6th most Super Bowl wins, and he appeared in one other during his career. Bart Starr, Bob Greasy, Eli Manning, John Elway, Peyton Manning, Roger Staubach, Jim Plunkett and Ben Roethlisberger each have 2 Super Bowl wins. A couple of those players are for sure ahead of Roethlisberger, but certainly not all of them. Passing yards and touchdowns matter, but different eras of football were more friendly to the passing game than others. It's impossible to directly compare a quarterback from the modern era to a quarterback in the 1970s. That being said, Roethlisberger is fifth in all-time passing yards with 64,088 and eighth in all-time passing touchdowns with 418. He also posted a very impressive .670 win-loss record, which is fifth all-time among quarterbacks with over 100 wins. One stat that stands the test of time better than others? Fourth-quarter comebacks and game-winning drives show a quarterback's clutch factor in the most important moments of games. Roethlisberger has the third most all-time in both of those categories. Nobody could compare to Roethlisberger in his prime in terms of his ability to create plays. He wasn't as athletic as players like Mike Vick or Lamar Jackson, but he used his size, strength, and sneaky athleticism to make things happen. That's almost when he became better when the play broke down. He had to break a sack and he had to play backyard football, Suggs said. That's what you don't want. You want him in there just kinda playing quarterback. You don't want him playing street ball. Ben Roethlisberger will light your ass up. There are other arguments to be made about Roethlisberger's lack of playoff wins over the last several years of his career, or his lack of league MVPs. But to me, he deserves to be in the top 10 all-time conversation. It sounds like Suggs might agree. Steelers could lose George Pickens before 2026, insider says, has not gone well. The Pittsburgh Steelers situation with George Pickens has not gone well behind the scenes, according to NFL insider James Palmer. Palmer states that Pickens is unlikely to be with the Steelers beyond this year. His time in Pittsburgh, in a lot of people's minds, is limited, Palmer said. It has not gone well behind the scenes between George Pickens and the Pittsburgh Steelers and everybody involved. And this is leading up to, could he play for them in 2025? Certainly could. Would he be departing after this season? Yes, in a lot of people's minds. The Steelers traded for DK Metcalf and paid him $33 million annually in a massive new deal. While they are not paying a quarterback, they could accommodate Pickens if they wanted. ESPN's Jeremy Fowler reported on Friday that Pickens nearly requested a trade before the NFL draft but ultimately wants to stay with the Steelers. I was told, in the end, George Pickens in the end wants to be in Pittsburgh, sort of flirted with a trade request, but in the end, he loves Mike Tomlin and wants to be a part of things, Fowler said on NFL Live. Pickens and DK Metcalf now will be a duo on the outside for the Steelers. He is heading into the last year of his rookie contract and could want an extension this summer from the Steelers. When asked this offseason if the team plans to trade Pickens on Tuesday, General Manager Omar Khan has often noted that the team would like Pickens and Metcalf to be together. No, I mean, we're glad we have George and DK here. I think they're going to be exciting for everyone to watch. I'm excited to have DK here, but now I'm going to answer your question, Khan said. Pickens missed 3 games with a hamstring injury, dampening what looked to be a second straight 1,000-yard season with the third-year wide receiver. He averaged 15.3 yards per reception with 59 receptions for 900 yards on the year. In each of the last 2 seasons, Pickens has eclipsed 15 yards per catch and 900 yards as the focus of the team's passing offense. And you fan? What do you think about George Pickens' situation? Write to us in the comments.